Hello, chat. How are we doing? Let's see. Today we are playing more Minecraft. It's just gonna be a chill stream. And we're gonna pick up where we were last time, yesterday. I like just woke up, so I'm a little out of it. Hi, hello. Hi, Arcaline. Hi, Shadow Wolf. Thanks for being here. Ready to play some Minecraft? Alright, where would we left off with actually filling in all of this stuff with like the actual blocks that we'll be using rather than all of the colored blocks that we were using to map it out. So let's see. And then I was trying to figure out what to do with this outer ring because I'm not sure how big I want it to be. If it's gonna be like a room, if it's gonna be open. I don't think it's gonna be like open top. I do know that we can take this layer out because it will be, I think the cord, I just had to wiggle the cord. And there we go, now we can start putting this guy here. Silence of the static, speaking of the Aster. Yes. So was that happening like since I started the stream? I should have checked. I'm like, it's fine. It worked last time. I don't need to check it. No. Oops. There's a specific way you wash a blowhigh? I can't remember how to say it. Blowhigh. I thought you just put it in the washing machine and then let it like hang dry or something. Actually, I don't know how to wash stuffed animals. Blow high is how you say it. Okay. Oh, that was fast. Oh. Okay, so look at our little donut. I want it to look like a planet with a ring. so there's that. I think we should just like delete all of the glass to see, since everything's mapped out properly. It's time to just delete all the glass. I feel like that sound is gonna get really annoying really quickly. My sister and I've been watching SpongeBob. So many of the crash outs are so valid. God, it's been so long since I've watched SpongeBob. I don't think I've... Probably since high school. Oops. Yeah, threw it in the washer and tossed it in the dryer. Yeah, you know, like it's a stuffed animal. It can withstand the washer and dryer.
Not the dryer.
Not the dryer?
No.
No?
No. That's how you ruin some stuffed animals.
Oh.
It's better to always air dry.
Air dry?
Yes.
Mm. Aiden's just in the background watching The Pit.
No, I'm not.
You aren't?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. What are you watching?
Abbott Elementary.
Abbott Elementary?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. Is there a way to make that sound a lot less obnoxious? Blocks. It is a lot less obnoxious. Yours is made for military use? Oh, tennis balls. We have little dryer balls. I think they're like, they've got little faces on them. They're pretty cute. Like little raccoons or something. Or a panda? I'm not sure. Stretch. Ugh. plushies. Military. You know, for some people it just works, and others it's like, nah. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it doesn't matter too much. But I would never put my am I not on? There we go. I would never put my like stuffed animal that I've had forever, my little rattle puppy, my baby boy. He sits on my desk with my Technoblade plushie. I don't know if I've showed you guys, but I probably have in the Discord at some point. But I've had him since birth. He would sit on my crib when I was itty bitty. And then I would not put my Technoblade not put my Technoblade plushie in the washer dryer either. Froggy Pistachio was stolen. Oh no! How did it get stolen? Yes, Technoblade never dies. He sits on my desk. Safe. He sits on my desk, safe and sound. No dying. No dying. You dropped him while you were at the library with friends, and someone in the teen section must have picked him up and taken him. Aww. I'm sorry to hear that. When it comes to like my most prized possessions, they never leave the house. And they never move from the spot that I put them in. Like, this Techno plushie and my Rattle Puppy will stay on my desk permanently in the exact same place, because not only am I really bad at losing things in my house, I don't trust myself to ever like walk out of the house with it, because I do not want to lose it. And like it'll stay in the same place in my house as well, because, you know, my amnesia is really bad. The only time that the toy moves is when one of like our littles comes out and needs comfort. Then, you know, we give it to them, and then sometimes they'll like just cuddle it until they leave front, or they'll go to bed with it. And then as soon as they've switched back out, he goes right back on the desk where he usually sits, because we don't even want to lose him in the house. He's that precious, you know? We are very sentimental. It would like crush our entire soul if we lost him. Oh. You'd bring pistachio everywhere, even though your brain loses track of everything. Kira, one of our age regressors, usually holds a plush rabbit, so it's kind of become exclusively hers. She never goes out without some kind of plushie. It's adorable. Yeah, that's sweet. If our kids go out, they usually don't bring anything with them. As far as I'm aware, but I think it just kind of depends which littles are out and where we're going. Because we have like a little box of like stuffed animals and other toys like Lalaloopsy dolls, and then we have another box of Monster High dolls. We have the Minecraft creeper. He kind of like chills at the foot of the bed, just kind of in a pile of stuff. Of other plushies. I think they're Aiden's plushies. I'm yawning so much. Aiden really likes Hello Kitty. I never really got into it. I don't know why, but I just was never a Sanrio's person, except for the little twin stars. I really loved the little twin stars. As a kid, I still have like oh, what do you call it? A little music box thing, or oh no, what's the word for it? You know those things you wind them up and then they like sing? They like play a little song as they unwind? Can't remember what that thing's called. Music box? Probably. It's not a box, it's just like a circular thing, but I still have that. It's a little twin stars themed. And then our grocery bags Aiden actually got for us I can't remember where they went. They went on a trip with their family, I think, and they were at like a store that sold Sanrio products. And they got us 2 big bags that had little twin stars on them, and we use them for groceries now, so they're really cute. I love them. What else are that's little twin stars? I have a bunch of stickers, like little twin star stickers. I have a sticker book that I've had since my childhood that has like a page or 2 of like little twin star stickers. Oops. We have like a thing with gifts where we don't like receiving gifts. Like the best gift you could get us is like a gift card, because it's kind of like the gift of freedom of choice. Because we're very particular about the stuff that we like having in our life. We're a maximalist, but it's always like very specific tastes. Shit, where was I going with that? Oh, we also really don't like surprises. It gives us anxiety. Dude, I can't remember. There we go. Train of thought go poof. Yeah, pretty much. You hate when people ask you to guess things? Like, what do you mean by that? Like when giving gifts? Like, oh, just whatever you think I'll like, that kind of thing? Or is this an entirely different subject? Just in general, guess what thing, I hate that. It's like being told straight up instead of people dancing around the subject. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. When people say like guess what, usually it's just kind of like, at least for me, it's usually just a what do you call it? One of those questions. A rhetorical question. But I also hate, like, if they keep going, you'd be like, no, guess. Okay. I don't know. Oh, you know what? My brain is not working properly because I haven't taken my meds yet today. I haven't taken my meds yet today because I have to, like, refill my little boxes of meds. And I just got a whole bunch of, like, refills that are still in the bag that I got them in yesterday. So I have to, like, do a bunch of organizing. So my brain is like, I'll do that later. I just woke up. I'm not gonna do that right now. But now I realize my brain... I need to take my meds. Yeah, a problem for future me, exactly. Yeah, I get that too. The vagueness of questions. I probably should have said what I... yeah. I'm hyped. This is gonna look so cool. Ah! Whoops. There's like 0 thoughts running through my head at the moment. I apologize if stream is really boring today. No thoughts, head empty, literally. Anyone have any like questions, about any topic that you're curious to know my perspective on, because I know last time we were talking about DID a little bit, and like if the DID community online is actually like I think is like getting to be a better place or a more supportive place for people with DID. We talked a little bit about that. And will slowly become more safe because some communities I've seen have been very exclusionist and just give us bad vibes. Yeah, there's it's the internet, so there's no space for nuance. You're either like, it's very black and white, you're either with us or against us kind of mentality in a lot of these spaces, and I think people, just in general, are not great to their allies because they don't see the perspectives of other people who are like sharing a similar experience. Like, you know, this happens in the trans community with like trans medicalists and like people who are not trans medicalists, usually like non-binary people. And then it was also in the women's suffrage movement. Women of color were told that they were bringing down the movement, or they were making it, or that they were just not allowed in the movement and things like that. And you know, it's just every space is gonna have people who are accepting and people who are not accepting. And, you know, especially online where there's zero nuance, people just get up in arms very quickly about things that are quite trivial in some cases. Dating as a system? It's definitely been interesting because we've had a lot of experiences dating as someone with DID. We gosh, what was it, 2022 to 2023 or 2024 maybe? We were part of a polycule. Oh, this goes all the way down. Oh, okay. Oop, not all the way down. I thought so. And we were part of a polycule because we had multiple partners due to the fact that we had like a lot of frequent fronters at the time. I wasn't around for that period of our life all that much. I was very much like in an age regressed state for the most part. And I was just not one of the people who was dating the people that we were dating at the time, which in and of itself is a very interesting phenomena, right? Since I used to be the previous host, and then I stopped hosting when Astro took over for those years, and then I think once we settled down in a place with Aiden and our ex-girlfriend and her best friend, I think that's when I started fronting more again. Never like black and white stances because there's no chance to look in between. Yeah, same here. As an autistic person, it's really hard to grapple with my like black and white thinking. I'm still learning, and a lot of us in our system are still learning about like holding space for nuance and how things are a lot more gray than they are black and white in this world. In general. But yeah, the internet No, it's very, very touchy, very explosive, very black and white. No two people's experiences are the same, and I relate in black and white. Yeah. I mean, there's some things that are very obviously black and white when it comes to like committing crimes. When we were a little kid, I think that's actually it's an interesting subject. I can talk about the dating as a system as well, but I'll talk about this for a little half a second or so. Our littles in our system are still learning to grapple with black and white thinking and the concept that the world is a lot more gray than it is black and white, because we grew up as a little autistic child being like, there's good and there's bad, and there is no in between, and we're either a good person or we're a bad person. And it wasn't until my brain fully developed, that frontal lobe fully developed around like 27. Am I 27 still? I guess like 26, 27. 25, 26, 27. That I kind of like realized, oh, this is what people meant when the world is not so black and white. You just get this perspective like that I didn't have as a child, which was good and bad are very subjective in most circumstances. And there's always going to be someone who agrees with you and someone who disagrees with you. There's always going to be someone who likes you and someone who doesn't like you. And our littles are having a hard time grappling with that concept. Because we've grown up, though, like, at least the specific littles I'm thinking about in my brain at the moment, grappled with the concept of things like utopia and world peace. Because when you're a little kid, you hear about things like world peace and ending world hunger and things like that, and, you know, superheroes saving the world, and you think, like, yeah, that's how life should be. Like, the world should be a good place like that. People just need to get along with one another. But what you don't really realize is that even as a child, there's like playground politics, if you will. There's always gonna be kids who don't like you and kids who like you. And just because people have their own opinions like that, we were told as a child that there is no concept of utopia for everyone, because everyone has a different idea of what utopia should look like. And if you take a whole bunch of people, especially in a country like America where there's a lot of diversity and it's kind of like a boiling pot of a bunch of different cultures, people are just not going to get along, you know? And that's not even because some people are bad and some people are good. That's just because people have very different experiences in life and they have very different cultural values. And so when we were a little kid, there was no nuance about it, because we grew up in a very like white-centric little tiny bubble, where everyone thought the same, more or less, and everyone had like similar values and things like that. So when our little brain was trying to solve world problems, we were like, well, this is how a utopia would work. And then it turns out, now that I have the perspective on that as, you know, an adult who is no longer in that very small bubble of reality, and is a lot more aware of the world and what's going on, and just that there, you know, are different people with different experiences and different cultures and different backgrounds and things like that. I'm like, oh, that idea of utopia we had as a child is actually really problematic. because it's a very like white centric just I don't know how to describe it. It's just a very like specific to the community that we were living in, of like basically all of the ideals that we were taught as a child meshed together into its own little world. And a lot of those ideals are very problematic. You know, things like eugenics were involved, so it's like, oh, that's not good. But ever since I became like my brain fully developed at like 26, 27. Where was I going with this? I've realized a lot more about what it means to live in a world that's full of, that's like a gray spectrum. That things are more complicated, that I was told when I was a kid, like, that's just how the world works, and I always hated that answer because I'm like, why does it have to work that way? If people just thought this way and they acted this way, then the world wouldn't have to work like that. And it's because now I understand why people say that's just how the world works, because it is just kind of how the world works, because there will always be people from different perspectives who disagree or just simply don't like a certain way of living. You can't just get rid of those people. You gotta live with them. And so yeah, the world is gonna be flawed because people are flawed. And that's where all this grayness comes in. So yeah, it's been very interesting being a system and developing that frontal cortex, because there's people like me in the system who have access to all of that like adult brain mentality, but then there's still like smaller, younger parts of our system that are still a little confused about it and are still having to learn, like every time they front, they're having to learn a little bit more about nuance, and a little bit more about challenging the old ways of thinking that were ingrained in us by our community. Let's see. Oops, shoot, what did I do? There we go. We haven't peered really far back into our hosts, but Sunny is one of our longest residing alters. Kai, or Kay, was our host during 2020-2023, then Jasper 2023, Nightingale in summer 2025. Excusez-moi. It was temporary because we were in a mental crisis. You know, full Soleil took over. 2025 is kind of blurry though, because that year was messy. There's no perfection, and with everything is just, yeah, never perfect. There's a beauty in imperfection though. Yeah, that's something those littles in our system are still trying to wrap their head around, because they come from a quote-unquote perfect society, and they are supposed to be perfect beings, because we were taught back then that like we have very strong perfectionism issues, and we had to be, in our environment back then, we had to be perfect. So there's a lot of that we're grappling with, that those poor little guys are grappling with, a lot of expectations that are very unrealistic, and you know, it's interesting. it's interesting because from my perspective, I get to watch them and like I hear their thoughts or I hear their voices talking with me or with our therapist or with Aiden or with whoever they're communicating with about this subject matter that they're grappling with. And it's kind of interesting to see like, oh, like I can feel it physically in my brain when an alter's perspective changes, because it feels like there's this like unlocking sensation in my brain that makes all of like the negative feelings go away. Like, this is a little bit of a side tangent, but an example of this was when a little was having negative self-talk about I don't remember what it was exactly they were negative self-talking about, but it was something about like our performance or no, I couldn't tell you. I can't remember. But I just remember them being like, they were saying a bunch of nasty things, like hateful things about ourselves. And they were talking about all of these expectations that they had, that they were imposing on themselves and us. And then we had them go to therapy one time and talk these things through, and I was kind of in the mid ground, I guess, or somewhere close to front, and I felt the change physically in my brain when they started being like giving themselves and us more grace, and when their negative thoughts changed more to like positive thoughts, more like constructive criticism rather than just like negative Nanciness. And it felt like a weight was lifted off my brain, if you will, because there would be the negative thoughts in my head, and then their voice, which would have usually dogpiled on those negative thoughts, was actually like saying something more positive and more like, it is okay that we are like this, or that we're thinking this way because we're still growing, or because it's not that bad, or it's not that serious, or something like that. I can't remember the specifics, right? But it was really fascinating to experience that. Oops. Shoot. Oops. Why is it jumping? Talking about, let's see, so that's that subject. Child parts learning to grow up a little by little is really fascinating. And then the other subject you asked about was dating as a system. I know Astro made a video about this like a really like years ago on our TikTok channel that we no longer have access to. It's interesting because I'm currently in a long-term, not necessarily monogamous relationship, but also not a polyamorous relationship. I'm not actively seeing anyone. I'm not actively seeking out anyone else other than Aiden. So I have that perspective, and then also like I have our perspective of like how we were dating before, like prior to realizing we had DID. Back then it was just kind of confusing because there'd be sometimes I would be very much in love with the person that I was with, and other times I would be very much in agony about the fact that I was with this person that I guess didn't like. And it was very polarizing, but I didn't really understand why my brain was saying these things or thinking these things or feeling this way. But once I figured out I was a system, then a lot of things made sense. A lot of things made sense. And in order to break out of the cycle that I was in back then, when I was dating people who I wasn't really actually invested in, and I was more so dating them because they showed interest in me, and my self-esteem was just really low during those times, so I kind of just jumped into whatever relationship opportunity I could get my hands on because I was just someone who was in desperate need of love and affection. But I wasn't always married to the idea that I wanted to be with these people for the rest of my life, or that I even wanted to be with them for like a small part of my life. In order to break out of that cycle, we split Astro for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons was because like the way that they split was that they split to their sexual identity was Arrow Ace, because our brain was just like, you know what, love we had a really bad idea of what love meant at the time. Astro was basically like, love is just these unnecessary feelings that get us stuck or trapped in not good, that in relationships that are not like fulfilling for us. And we're just kind of like you know, Love is Blind. They took Love is Blind very literally. So they were like, well, I don't have to deal with any of that because I literally can't feel sexual or romantic attraction to anyone. So we're good. And then they got out of the, like, we had a friends with benefits kind of thing going on at the time, and it was terrible. I did not want to be in it really, but I was just so desperate for affection that I kind of jumped on any opportunity. I didn't even like the guy, dude. I couldn't tell you why I got with him. I was in my like slut era, and I took it too seriously. So that was what it was like to be like someone who was a very newly discovered system dating, was that prior to it, I was kind of in a trauma cycle that kept me complacent in like and okay with settling for people I just did not like, and in all actuality. And then once we figured out like that we were a system, like Astro let us start dating again after like maybe a couple months or something like that. Like once we were discovering who else was in our system, and they were like expressing how they wanted to find love for themselves, as like they are now that we're no longer like pretending to be the same person and just like really like blurry with one another, and have all these like mixed emotions that don't make a lot of sense, that are contradictory sometimes. They decided that, okay, we can start dating, but Astro's gonna be the one to go on the first date, because they are going to basically like interview this person to see if they are someone who is trustworthy for us to get into a relationship with, or if there's any red flags that we need to like be aware of. So that's how we started dating as a system. We let them go on the first date. They asked their questions and got to know the person that they were talking to, and they explained how we have DID, and what a relationship with us would look like because of that. And then even Astro was not like the best judge of character, to be honest, because we got into a lot of relationships in that polycule time that were like really fun and exciting. It was our first time actually dating queer people, rather than just like cis men. And that was a very new experience for us. But some of the relationships we were in, we weren't treated all that well. And a couple of our alters, especially people like Rose, got really hurt by the people that we were in relationships with. And we went from having 6 partners all at once to having one partner, which is Aiden, who, you know, is our forever person now. It was a wild experience, that polycule thing. I want to make a video about it at some point because it was kind of crazy. But we were kind of the center of a like 13-person polycule by the end of it, because we had 6 partners in the polycule alone, and then they had partners with other people that we weren't partnered with ourselves. So at like so it was like 13 people large. It was crazy. It was pretty crazy. And when we were doing that, let's see, it was like Aries, Jasper, I think Astro had a 1 or 2 like queer platonic relationships with people. Astro, Aries, Rose was trying to date people. It was kind of a mixture too, because they were like, you know, we have lesbians and we have gay men in our system, and we have trans people, and we have like bisexuals and pansexuals, we have aro ace people, like we have the whole LGBTQ community in our brain essentially. So, you know, who was dating we had Aries was a lesbian, and they had 2 lesbian relationships, and Rose was trying to get in on that, because as a system, if one person starts liking someone like romantically, then at least for our system, those feelings bleed out into other parts. And Rose was like, I know you guys like Aries, and Aries likes you guys, and from what I know of Aries experiences and what I feel when I look in your guys' faces, I also want to be involved with you. But one of the persons that we were with, they felt like, how do I describe this? Dating separate alters felt like they were dating completely different people rather than like a collective of people. And so for them, starting a new relationship with another alter was the same as starting a relationship with like a whole new person. And they just didn't vibe with every one of our alters, romantically or sexually. And that happened with 2 people in our polycule. The other one that happened with was more so like just kind of at a different maturity level than Rose was, and didn't want to like get involved with Rose because she was like 19 and very starry-eyed, and they were, can't remember how old they were actually, but they just felt like she wasn't mature enough to be with them. But they were stringing her along though. They kept being wishy-washy about whether they were actually interested in dating her or not, so she got a bit hurt in the end. That kind of sucked. And then there was that same person was also a system, and so they had two or three of their alters dating not only different alters in our system like Ares and Jasper, but they were also dating the other person that Ares was dating. And those two were really into each other. So yeah, Rose kind of felt very left out. There was like a triangle with Ares and the two people they were dating, and then those two people dating each other. So that was kind of a difficult situation. And then the other people, let's see. One person was dating Levi, other than Aiden. And they had an amicable breakup. Their relationship wasn't really like just well established because they only really met once a week to hang out, like to have a date, and half the time they just had sleeping dates where they just slept together with one another. I think it's because that person was just so tired by their life, because they were doing a lot at the time. It is really complicated. Yes, it's very complicated. So those two had an amicable breakup, and the thing is Levi can't front of his own volition is the word, I think. He has to be triggered out by something specifically. Either that or we have to focus really hard on trying to trigger him out. So, yeah, so he couldn't really date anyone in the polycule, like, in depth, in the same way that, like, Ares and Jasper could, because those two were out, like, all the time. Those two were also social alters, so there was a lot more, like, their whole job was to socialize. And also protect us, too, but... so that was that, and then... Aiden, I think, was, like, one of the last people that we got into a relationship with in the polycule. Let's see, who else was there? There was our ex-girlfriend who we actually moved in with. And she was great. We had an amicable breakup. Like, the kind of, let's see, she was dating Jasper, and... I think around about the time that I actually started to, like, front more again, and I was, like, not always, like, age regressed, I think I started dating her too, because I started being the host back again around that time. We moved in together because at that point we were still dating, but then, like, part of the way through that year, we broke up because she broke up with us because she had started, we helped her figure out that she was a trans woman. We helped crack that egg. And she went on hormones and her, like, sex drive kind of just went away. And the relationship we had with her was pretty much just kind of a sexual relationship. We tried to connect on other levels, but we just kind of didn't, like, the vibes weren't vibing, you know. We were good as friends, though. We just didn't have enough in common, like, you know, that a romantic relationship really was feasible. But yeah, we were still good friends. We lived with her for like 2 years, so it was really funny. We would make a lot of jokes about living with our ex with like other people and like friends and stuff. So she was chill. Let's see, those two, her, that one. That's 2, 4. There's 2 others. There's Aiden, makes 5, and then the 6th person was, oh yeah, the 6th person was Astro's queer platonic person. And that relationship didn't work out because they just couldn't find anything in common, really. Like, there were some things that were kind of common, but like that person was kind of like one of those kind of people, like the kind of autistic that they are just kind of like interested in what they're interested and pretty much nothing else. They have like one huge special interest and then they kind of don't give a shit about like pretty much anything else on the same level. So because we didn't share that special interest to the same extent that they did, we just didn't really have much in common to talk about or to build a relationship off of. So they amicably broke up. I think Astro was the one to end that relationship. They went back to being friends, but then even after that, after a while, the friendship just also fell apart because they just didn't have commonalities enough. So that was that one. And then there was Aiden. And Aiden was one of the last people we got into a relationship with in the polycule, and the one that worked out. We've been together for 3 years now. 3 years and like 2 months. And they started out dating. We started out as friends with benefits, actually. It was Rose and Jasper, and I believe, who were dating Aiden. And then Astro got into a queer platonic thing with Aiden as well, simply because they were the host at the time and they knew that the rest of us were like not the rest of us, but those two were in a romantic relationship with Aiden, and we were growing closer as friends as well. The friends with benefits turned into a relationship, and those two got involved as well. And then when I took over again as host, me and Aiden started dating. And yeah, we've been together ever since. And then let's see, David was a newer split. He split maybe in our 2nd year of dating, I think. I'm not entirely sure. David was not around for the polycule era. And then Aries and Jasper went dormant. Once the polycule kind of dissolved, because at that point in our life, we were very extroverted. We needed social alters. They had a job to do, which was socializing. We were socializing with a different person every day of the week, every week. And it was just kind of a chaotic time for us just as a person. But once we settled down with Aiden and no longer were part of the polycule, I became like the permanent host, and we went really introverted. We flopped from super extroverted to super introverted, and we all realized that we were just kind of overexerting ourselves that whole like polycule time. And we weren't actually as extroverted in reality than that we were. Oh my god, my brain. Than we actually were. So all of our social alters just kind of went dormant, because they no longer had a job to do, really. And my brain is dissociating. Shit, what was I saying? Introverted. Social alters. Oh, David. I don't really remember why or when David split. But he did. And then he became my co-host pretty quickly after that. Because our system kind of works in a way where there's like one main host and then there's one co-host and then there's like a rotation of frequent fronters. And so Astro also kind of went dormant because we didn't really need a protector anymore in the way that they were protecting us, because they were mostly a sexual protector. They've since become more of like a system organizer or manager of sorts, like an internal manager. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, and so David took over. David started dating Aiden. And then there were like... And then I got really depressed, like really badly depressed, and so then our brain decided to split me into 5 different people. So I split David, Osaze, Azai, Daz, and Zai. And all of those people are part of our now, like, frequent fronters. Oops. And they're all dating, I mean, except for Zai. They're all dating Aiden. Let's see. I'm dating Aiden, David, Osaze, Azai, Daz, and then Astro, it has the queer platonic relationship. Rose, now this is an interesting one, right? This is something that is a very like DID system experience. Rose was the first person to get into a friends with benefits relationship with Aiden. However, after the polycule disbanded, Rose, we're not entirely sure what happened. She age regressed or something. And she forgot her entire relationship with Aiden. And so ended up breaking up with Aiden. And so Rose is Aiden's ex in our system. And for a while, it was a little awkward, but they've since kind of figured out like what the heck was going on and why things happened as they did. And Rose still can't remember their relationship with Aiden. So we have 2 theories. One is just that like Rose's memories were wiped for some reason, and 2, Rose split, and the part that remembers the relationship with Aiden has gone dormant. And the new part, which is this like age regressed version of Rose, is the one that we've been interacting with. And she holds a bunch of like relationship trauma from the polycule. So she's not in the healthiest of conditions mentally. But yeah, so, you know, sometimes when you date and you have DID, sometimes you will still be involved with your ex because, you know, you'll be dating some alters and maybe not others, and then some might become your ex. So So that's Rose and Aiden's status, and then other people. Who else is dating? Levi's dating Aiden when he fronts, you know, which is not often. And then I feel like there's like one or two. Rune, like Aries never ended up dating Aiden themselves. Or but then Jasper actually like married Aiden. Like those two, like I think he proposed or something, and or like it was kind of funny. I think Aiden said it like an offhanded comment about how like they should get married, and Jasper was like, no, actually we should. And then they got rings for one another. Excuse-moi. And it was like Aiden thought it was just a joke, but no, Jasper was very serious about it. So then when Jasper and Aries fused to make Rune, who is the person they are today, you know, Rune is, oop, that's adorable. I know, right? Rune is married to Aiden, and I'm also married to Aiden. Technically, we went to the sex museum in New York when we were in New York, and there's like a little machine there where you could like get fake married, and it gives you like little rings. So we did that, and so we're married. Thank you. We're not actually officially married on paperwork, but you know, I'm gonna be marrying this man. We're gonna, eventually it'll happen, you know, when we decide to like merge all of that crazy stuff. I never thought I was gonna get married because, you know, when my parents got divorced, I was like, oh my god, love is dead, and I'm never gonna get married because my parents' marriage was crazy, and also marriage is this outdated concept that's basically like men taking ownership of women from their fathers, you know? So it's like anti-feminist to get married. I don't care anymore. I'm marrying him for the tax benefits. And so I always wear a ring on my finger, and it's the one that I got at the sex museum. But yeah, so me and Rune are married to Aiden. And then everyone else is, I'm not sure what they're, like, I don't think anyone else has proposed or, like, made it official that they're also married to Aiden. So, you know, we just have, like, different levels of relationships going on in our system with Aiden. Your brother just got engaged to his fiancée of 3 years. Oh, that's so sweet! Congratulations to them! But yeah, so like that's all. That's everything. That's how it is to be dating as a system. We went through, oh, that's the other thing. David, Osaze, Azai, Daz, all those guys are monogamous with Aiden. Whereas I still identify as polyamorous, even though I'm not really seeking out any new relationships at the moment. But all of those people are like exclusive with Aiden. So that's also interesting, because we have monogamous people and polyamorous people in our system. So across sexualities, you know, Aiden is a gender fluid trans masc person. I'm gender fluid. We're collectively trans masc, but we have people like Rose who are cis women and Jasper who are cis men. I think Levi's trans. Other people, I'm not sure. Aries, so Aries and Jasper, they were both cisgender. Aries was a cisgender woman, Jasper was a cisgender man. When they fused, they became trans feminine. and so they have, like, body-wise, their bodies kind of merged into, like, that of the anatomy of, like, a trans woman. So that was interesting. But yeah, because, you know, gender and sexuality to us and Aiden is very, like, fluid. Shit, where was I going with this? There's both, like, lesbians and gay men who are attracted to Aiden in our system. And then everyone else in between, like bisexual, pansexual. I know Levi's pansexual. I think Rune is now omnisexual. Since, yeah, Aries was a gay woman and Jasper was a gay man. So, or maybe he was bisexual. I think he might have been bisexual. I know that there was, like, another one, Dominic. I think Dominic, Aries, and Jasper were the ones who fused into Rune. And Dominic was Jasper's in-system husband, and he was a gay man. So, yeah, I don't know. It, you know, gender, sexuality, everything you think you know about what those things are, what it looks like, what it feels like, how it's constructed and put into little pretty little boxes, it all goes out the window when you have DID, when you're a system, because the brain's gonna do what the brain wants, and attraction is gonna look different for every alter. At least for us, so. Didn't think you'd be an aunt at 22, but here you are. Well, you know, I mean, 22 is not that old, or not that young for being an aunt, I think. Yeah, I guess we're an uncle at this point. We have nieces and nephews, I believe, from our, like, extended family. Yeah. So yeah. Interesting subject, interesting questions. Do, 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 Oops. We are getting to watch me, like, have to do this entire thing over again. I will kill myself. Dang. We're in the final stretch, guys. Final stretch. And then, let's see, what time is it? We started at 2:30-ish. It's now almost 4. Wait, No, yeah. 6, 7. Shut up, whoever that was. 3, 4. So we got like 30 more minutes left of stream, I believe. You think I'm good on time? Yeah. I think I'll probably have enough time to just kind of fill in this like purple bit, clear out the rest of this glass, and then I'll have to look at like what to do with the ring. I want to see what it looks like from the bottom. Because here's where we come up. Ooh, that's so cool. Look at that angle. Oh, that's so good. Hell yeah. 6, 7, immediate regret. I was looking at the time. It's always a military time for me, because if it's not, then I will accidentally set alarms for PM when I mean to do AM. So then I was trying to like do the whole like, if in military time is just whatever the second number is minus 2, but in my brain I did the second number plus 2, so I was like 5, 6, 7, and then I was like, but that's not right, because 15 is not 7, 15 is 3. So then my brain was just like, haha, 6, 7, and I'm like, whoever that was, I'm killing you. Is my avatar stuck? It looks like it's stuck. I don't know how long it's been stuck for. There we go. Last one. Oh, June 7th. Oh dear. Oops. Oh, it looks cool. Hell yeah. The only thing is, I'm just not sure what to do in here. Maybe if I like do the middle part and I fill it in, we can see, because I think sand. I'm thinking like maybe I would put blue glass on the outside. Sand. There it is. Oh, you know what? I should be posting progress pictures of this to... Yeah, I'll do that eventually. A lot of sand, yes, because in here is gonna be the aquarium. Aquarium of the Pacific. There we go. And then we'll have water in here. Oh yeah? That's good. I know, it's relaxing for me too. Excuse-moi. Alright, I think that is all the water. And this is what it looks like. Woohoo! Okay, and then we'll put a bunch of fish in here. And then we'll like put some plants too. Let's see here. Seagrass, kelp, seas, whatever they're called. Some of these guys. Ooh. There's lightning. Oops. Damn it. How am I gonna get... Oh, there we go. That was so hard. It did not have to be that hard. Oops. Here we go. Yes, that's a fish. Very cute, very cute. And then that's that. Here is the aquarium. And you can see it from all sides, which is the cool part. Wow. So cool, so cool. Testing. Okay, it still works. The little pufferfish are so cute. Their little eyeballs. Okie dokie. I just gotta figure out what to do with this place. I think. I think that looks good. I like that. Oops. Should I do like a pattern though? Should it just be blue or should I do like a pattern? I don't know, I'm kind of liking the blue. Ow. But what if I did a pattern? Let's see. I think I just like the blue. It looks like a ring. Now, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cover the bottom. The horse is here? What do you mean? Oh, Vita. Vita, I'm freaking out. Don't ruin this for me, Lord. Ugh. Hmm. Oh, you just wanted me silly. This will probably be the last thing we do today, because we're almost at time. Here we go. Yeah. Alrighty, there we go. Oh, excuse me. That is all for today. Thank you guys for coming to stream. Had a wonderful time talking with ya. And just spending like a chill session, you know? Just having fun playing Minecraft. Alrighty. Goodbye!